How are you? Hope you're good, everyone. But most importantly, I hope everyone's doing okay during these current times right now. But welcome to my review of the FUZE MAX electric scooter by FuroSystems. It's been a long time coming, and it's been quite a while since I've uploaded the initial review of the original FUZE a few months ago, which got a lot of feedback, a lot of attention, something I did not expect. Well, initially I sent that video to FuroSystems themselves so they could upload it onto their website, which they haven't done yet. So I decided to upload that onto YouTube. Also, at the same time of uploading this review, I've uploaded a separate video of the FUZE MAX range test video just up there, where I take on second gear and third gear to see what is the average range it's capable of on both of those gears. On the website it says that it's capable of 55 kilometers or about 30 something miles, but that's only on eco mode presumably. So I wanted to put that to the test, and you get some decent results in that video, so please go check it out if you're interested in. So on the initial review that I've done of the original FUZE, there were some slight changes and updates on the visual components of the scooter, which I'll try to explain first. The first thing you'll notice is the mudguard. Now the mudguard is slimmer. It's designed in a certain way where it doesn't interfere with the platform of the scooter, which I think is an improvement because it allows a bit more foot space. And because this new slimmer rear mudguard is more solid, it makes you a bit less anxious when it comes to like accidentally kicking it all the time, because that's the problem I had with the last scooter. The only two issues I've had with the rear mudguard is that it's a little too slim for the wheel, so it's not really protecting me fully from the dirt, and on top of that, the way it's installed, it's not really aligned with the wheel, so I don't know why it's been installed in a slightly sloppy way. So I had to physically move it, and that required some plastic melting in order to actually move the mudguard in the correct place so it's actually doing its job. So those are the only differences from the mudguard, and it's a little bit frustrating, but you start to appreciate the good things about it. So the second change of the original scooter, which I reviewed, is the what do you call these things? The handlebar folds, whatever they are. The original first scooter had sort of like a pull and snap type of hand folds, which I've demonstrated in the first video. With these ones, it's more different. They've kind of changed them in a way where it's a little bit of an inconvenience. Basically, the folding and unfolding of the entire scooter takes longer as a result of this change, but it allows the handlebars to be more strong and sturdy than they were with the original handle folds. So it is an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time. When it comes to the setup of the scooter, I needed to get used to the whole collapsing thing, the folding mechanism, which works fine now after several attempts of use. But for some reason, when it initially comes from the box, because there's no lubrication or anything to kind of make it slide in and out better, it's very, very stiff and very irritating to use unless you've got some lubricant or some kind of oil to help it come in and out better, which I advise you do. I'm recording this segment to just show you how much of an absolute pain in the arse trying to, kind of fold to this scooter. It's an absolute nightmare. They don't lubricate the joint thing so that it slides in and out better. I've actually tried for about 10 minutes trying to pull this off. I need to show you how painful this is. I'm twisting it, but that just loosens the handle thing, which is not what I want. Oh, finally. Okay. Oh, that is unforgivably just painful and just annoying. One of the most important things about having a scooter, or maybe scooters in general, is that you must have a set of Allen keys and spanners, and I suggest you go buy them from your local Screwfix. so that you can make sure your scooter is in fine working order, because this scooter in particular has its bolts coming loose almost frequently after several attempts of first use. So I'm here to remind you, if you want to get the scooter, it's not a massive problem, but I advise that you go get yourself some Allen keys and spanners so that you can make sure your nuts and bolts are nice and tight, because obviously you don't want this thing to fall apart. That being said though, the components of the scooter are still very solid and still very sturdy. There is another slight change which I forgot to mention, and that is the deck lights specifically. While I did speak about them in the first review where I said it had multiple colors, I think it was red, green and blue. This time it's just red. You're only going to get red, which I think is a relatively suitable color for the aesthetic design of the scooter, with its slight dashes of red everywhere. I do think that the red light kind of complements the styling colors of the scooter, so I'm glad they've changed it just to red. So at first, living with it, I had to get used to how the throttle works and the different speeds, and just learning how to turn and curve around in different pathways. And it's not that difficult to learn how to ride this. It's actually quite easy. Just like in the first review, its maximum speed is 25 miles per hour. A lot of the things I've said about the speed from the first review is pretty much the same, except for some reason the acceleration speed on both second and third gear are a little bit slower. So it can go from 0 to 18 in about 6 seconds, which is pretty good for a scooter like this. It's roughly the same acceleration speed as the original. However, with third gear, it was a little slower than the first review. I said it went from 0 to 25 in about 9 seconds. This time it goes from 0 to 25 in about 11 to 12 seconds, which is not a huge disadvantage, and I can imagine that it's probably doing the battery a bit more justice, especially during windy conditions. So don't choke this up as a flaw. So that's all I'm going to say. So what I'm going to do right now is mention the specifications based off quotes I've taken from the website, and we'll see how that goes because my reading skills aren't the best, but this is pretty much what the website has said. It is rear-wheel drive with a state-of-the-art brushless DC motor that delivers over 750 watts of power. It has a smooth and powerful electronic regenerative brake and 2 brake discs. The regular FUZE offers over 422 watt-hours, and the FUZE MAX offers 776 watt-hours of energy. So it translates over 40 kilometers to 55 kilometers of range at an average pace. It's designed to feel like a super-powered cloud, as it's equipped with double rear and front mechanical suspensions, as well as inflatable pneumatic 10-inch tires. It doesn't get any smoother than this. Well, I wouldn't go that far. The FUZE is not a toy. It is a high-end, next-gen, lightweight electric scooter. Its key allows you to power it on, lock, unlock, and activate an anti-theft location alarm at a distance. The FUZE is equipped with foldable handlebars, and its computer offers 3 ride levels: Eco, which is the slowest, Cruise, which is like average speed, and Sport, which is essentially ludicrous speed. And it comes with an intuitive dashboard and throttle. The standard max charge time is 5.5 hours. Now I'm gonna stop there because not really. This is quoting the FUZE MAX as well, and unfortunately it's a bit misleading. Maybe if you were to just use it for your regular commute, like let's say you've drained about 3/4 of the battery, it might take 5.5 hours. But if you drain the whole thing completely, no, it takes longer than that. I've timed it, it takes about 6 hours and 40 minutes to about 7 hours. It takes a lot longer than 5.5 hours if you really drop it down, if you really drain the whole thing. So if they're talking like on average, then yes, maybe, but it's not specific enough, so it's a bit misleading. It's got an integrated headlight, red deck lights, and a rear brake light. I don't think you guys have any idea how hard it was me to just say that string of words. You have no idea. The weight limit of the scooter is 150 kilograms, so basically 2 of me. The weight of the scooter itself is 17 kilograms. And again, it's not right, because maybe if it's talking about the original FUZE, like I mentioned in the original review, it's 17 kilograms. The FUZE MAX, however, because it's got a bigger battery, it's wrong. It weighs about 20.8 kilograms. I've done multiple methods of weighing it, and I've got the most accurate results possible using my body weighing scale, that it's about 20.8 kilograms. So it's right about one thing, but it's wrong about another. It's got a 5-volt USB charging port, front and rear fenders or mud guards, a kickstand, and a horn. So now I've mentioned most, if not all, of the specifications of the scooter, and I'm now going to talk about the positives of what it's like to live with. Firstly, I like the front light. I think it's relatively bright enough. It could be a little brighter, like I said in the first video, but it's still bright enough. And also, because you can change its angle in multiple ways, I do like the utility of how you can see the floor when you're riding it. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good front light. The rear light is decent as well. It's a little bit difficult to see the brake light function once you use it, but it's still pretty decent. It's decently bright, and because of the new mud guard it's attached to, it's got a nice design to it as well. The box charger that it comes with is pretty decent. It's not very loud. It's got like a certain fan sound to it when you activate it, when you charge it, but it's not too disruptive and loud. And it doesn't sound like it takes too much electricity, but still it's a pretty solid charger. It's even got a waterproof charging cap, so that when you ride in wet weather conditions, the water doesn't really go inside the charging port, so that's great. I do like the design of the scooter with the touches of red, but I will have to be honest and say that finding out that there are multiple versions of the bodywork of the scooter, there are multiple versions of the scooter, not by FuroSystems, but by a whole multitude of other companies that have taken on what is actually the Inokim Quick original. That's where the body design initially comes from, but it seems to be quite popular amongst other independent companies like this. But otherwise, I think it's a decent skeleton for this type of company to put whatever they want to put inside of the skeleton. I also like the computer, which again, it's not too bright, but also not too dim, so you can still see it no matter what weather conditions you're under. It's a pretty nice CPU or speedo, whatever you want to call it. The handle folds for the most part are pretty good as well. I do like both of the mud guards, and the rear one with its more solid and unintrusive placement. And I also like the strong build quality, despite the bolts being a little bit loose at times. As long as you keep tightening them at a regular basis, I don't think it should be a huge trouble to you. So now I'll be discussing the negatives of the FUZE MAX, and possibly the FUZE as well. The first one is suspension. Now remember when I was just like being iffy with its claim that it's like a cloud and that it's smooth and comfortable, and it's not. Unfortunately, the suspension, while it does work, the suspension is very hard, and it doesn't make for a very comfortable ride if you go over the smallest of bumps as well. So suspension doesn't really do a decent job when it comes to rough terrain, and I strongly advise that if you do happen to go over rough terrain, you slow down, because you don't want to shatter your spine. Unfortunately, suspension is a bit of a downside to the scooter. The handle folds are inherently better for safety reasons and stronger. There is a huge sacrifice when it comes to the quickness of folding and unfolding the scooter. It does take a little bit longer, like about 5 or 6 seconds longer when it comes to folding the scooter entirely. The rear mud guard, while I do like the placement, the strength, and the unintrusiveness, if that's even a word, of it, makes it quite desirable compared to the first one. But again, because for some reason it's not level with the rear wheel and that it's quite small, it does allow water to pass through it and kind of get you a bit dirty, unless you've got the DIY skills to physically move it in center. You might even have to make some really permanent adjustments to kind of make it work. So it's a bit of a downside, but once you get it installed in the correct position, it's actually not that bad. So like I said about the loose bolts, they are a bit of an issue, they're a bit of an intrusive issue, and you do have to make sure you have the right Allen keys and spanners to make sure they're all tight. But it's a bit of an inconvenience when you don't have any of these tools, so it's a bit of a disadvantage with that. But it's not a major problem. These problems could be solved with a bit of DIY. The last thing I'll say about the scooter is that it is a bit rattly. Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean that a lot of the bolts are loose or everything's falling apart, because the thing is, everything's all solid and put together. Like I said, the scooter is strong and sturdy, and I don't know why some of the rattling happens. But it's usually when you go over rough terrain, and I chalk this up to the suspension on both sides being very hard. I do wish the suspension was a lot more soft. In fact, I'd say that the suspension is possibly its biggest crutch of all of the issues I mentioned in the FUZE MAX. So that's all I can say about the negatives. So now I want to mention something quite important. The scooter I have with me is not the initial scooter that I had in my range test that I've uploaded the same day as this video. This is a completely different scooter. It's the same FUZE MAX, but the reason why is because I had an accident, I had a little bit of a crash, and there was some visual damages in the front end here, and a little issue with the stem being a bit wonky. So the reason why I mention this is because something happened with the battery, which I don't know if the crash was related to why the battery started to change in performance. Basically, the scooter started performing 16 to 17 miles on second gear and only about 12 miles on third gear. So this was a dramatic drop, which is why I'm saying I think the crash might have something to do with the impact of the battery. It's either that, or maybe because I ran the scooter at the 400-mile mark, that suddenly the battery started to deteriorate. But again, I don't know if that's the case. So I'm just gonna leave that out in the open and say that the crash most likely had something to do with the scooter's performance, and so it led to situations when the battery kept conking out at very early times. For some reason, the CPU wouldn't work. I couldn't activate the CPU once the battery died. It was just like an exclamation mark, and then it just stopped working. I maxed this thing out 24 miles, 23 to 24 miles. There we go, it's conked out. And it just goes off. It just stops. Can't turn it on. This is what's been happening, and it's it's not supposed to do that. And then when I would run with the scooter to see what would happen, there would be this siren that would keep happening if I kept running with a dead scooter. And I know if I run fast, it's gonna siren again. Look. See, it does that. I was completely stranded at times. So as I got home, I plugged the charger into the scooter, and there was this like click sound, and then the siren went on, and so then the scooter has been reactivated. This is what I have to do after walking it straight home. Charge it. It makes that noise every single time it conks out, and then walk in home and then charge it. Again, I'm not too sure why those things are happening. I went to a FuroSystems repair shop down in Chelsea to see if they could fix the problem, and it seems like they couldn't. And here is where the good news starts to come in. The scooter that's with me right now is sort of brand new. They had the scooter during testing, and they decided to give me the scooter for free as compensation for the issues I was having with the scooter that seemed to be underperforming quite dramatically. It's a different scooter. I was given a whole new-ish scooter as a replacement for the one I currently was riding on. And like,
I can't believe this. It means that the battery is completely new, it's working properly, and everything feels more solid, and it goes so smoothly up and down, and it's not crooked. This is so good. I can't believe it. Thank you, FuroSystems. Thank you so much.
And I want to make this clear that it's not a guarantee that if you have a problem with the scooter, that they'll just give you another one for free. They might not, but I'm saying that they might do. So if you have a problem that's similar to mine, then they might give you the same scooter for free if your one is so damaged beyond repair that they could be happy to give you a free scooter as a replacement for the one that is damaged. Oh, another thing I'll say before I make conclusions to this video is the customer service, whether it's online or in person in the repair shops that I went to, are pretty good. I really like the customer service. The people working there seem to be very nice. The CEO of the company as well is very friendly, very quick with his responses. And the fact that they've given me the scooter for free as a replacement to the one that was faulty shows that they really do care about the customer. They really genuinely do. And I'm so glad that I'm staying by their company and going as far as to make this video not just for you guys but for the company at large, so that maybe they could work on building their next big thing, whether it's their scooters or their bicycles that they also are selling on the website or in the warehouse/repair shop. So in conclusion, I do think that the FUZE MAX has a lot of good qualities, a lot more good qualities than bad qualities. So I do think that this is still a worthy seller. It's still a pretty good contender amongst all of its rivals in the market. So like I said in the original review, I do recommend the FUZE or the FUZE MAX. The FUZE original is selling right now for £649 or around £650, whilst the FUZE MAX is going up to £799 just for the Max. And if anyone has this scooter and is suffering any issues with it, please put down in the comments so I can get a full insight of what it's really like to work with. Otherwise, if I'm going through any issues, I'll make an update video talking about how things are going with the FUZE MAX. And yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video or if you found it really useful, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend who might want a scooter just like this. And also check out the range test video that I've uploaded the same time as this video, so you get a full insight of its range capabilities, and so that it can sway your decision to one way or another. I'm JLC Gallia, and good night. Yeah, it's got an integrated red. What?